blasted out like dying seeds upon the ground. Single file our marches echo through the trees. We left no crumbs of bread to lead our way back home again. Past the point of no returning, should we please. And we all sang the devil's song and sank into the night, saying, goddamn, it might be wrong, but at the time it all feels right. In my mind, how time flies and what are we living for? And we all cried, at least we tried, and drank a little more. As the children of Cain, as the souls of black, as the fang of the serpent, head of the ram, consume almighty through the blood of the lamb. With the star of the morning to bring us to light. In the eyes of the fallen, sure to give us our sight to see. Our sight to see. So pass the chalice of that bitter taste and wine. We're gone from head to toe and all midnight attire. This growing moon, it leads us closer to the time. So just hold that skull up high and dance around the fire. And we all sang the devil's song and sank into the night, saying, goddamn, it might be wrong, but at the time it all feels right. And my, how time flies, what are we living for? And we all cried, at least we tried, and drank a little more. So here's the knowledge we take from fruit. Progress with the heresy, it stems from the root. And here's the lies, forgotten goodbyes. And we all take a sip, the almighty arise. And chat with thicker, find the truth. With the cries of the night, bring the final soup. In the star of the morning, to bring us to light. In the eyes of the fallen, sure to give us our sight to see.
There is a sixth dimension beyond that which is known to man. A multiverse as vast as eternity, as timeless as the infinity gems. It is the middle ground between the big two and the indie publishers, between sci-fi and mysticism, and it lies between the pages of the reader's imagination. At the summit of entertainment, the dimension of comics, where a humble service is held. We call this service the Gospel of Comics.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Gospel of Comics. And if this is your first time, welcome to the Gospel of Comics. I am your host, the Church of Failure, and with me, as always, is my trusty co-host, Ayrton McCartney. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I got the gas leak fixed on my car.
So you're not dying anymore.
And I'm pretty tired.
All right.
Correct.
All right, good. I'm thinking it's like a methane gas leak that leaks inside of your car and kills you slowly. But beyond that...
No, it was just the fuel line was just broken.
Oh, well. Tonight we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Pose Law from Twitter fame of cringe posting. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good. It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you. And now we wait for the chat to respond and let us know if your voice disappoints them or not. But I had no idea this was the first time you had actually spoken on the internet. So that was interesting to see in the comments. What now?
That's not actually true. I have posted my voice, but I guess a lot of them did not catch it.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, you
yeah.
you blew up on Twitter pretty quickly. I think when I started following you or started noticing your threads, you were at like 9,000, and now you're over 13, and that's just been a matter of months. So I
Actually, it's been like 1 month, I think. Yeah,
yeah
1 month
yeah. So
since January.
right. So you definitely you blew up. I don't know if it was the cringe posting or the hot takes or if you just have this mythical following. But teach me your ways, senpai. I need to know.
I think it's mostly the cringe posting.
Okay. All
It's
right.
mostly the cringe posting. Just the unashamed cringe posting.
Okay. All right. Well, I figured since most of my tweets are cringe that I should be up there with you, but they're apparently not enjoyable cringe. But anyway, you had a very specific topic that you brought up when I invited you on because, like I said, in between the cringe, I have noticed some of your your comic book takes, and we fall pretty much eye to eye on most things that I've seen. So, uh, what was your initial thought? Something about discussing the ideologies of Marvel Comics. What does that mean to you specifically?
Like when I talk about the ideologies of Marvel Comics, I feel like their whole pattern has shifted from focusing on the writing itself and making sure things generally follow a set, not a set pattern so much as making sense to the reader, as character wise, plot wise, story wise, but instead it's just they're just letting each new writer do whatever they want as long as they are vaguely within the Marvel universe, and it's hurt like Marvel a lot more than people like will accept.
Oh, absolutely. Back when Marvel Comics first took off in popularity, DC Comics were the mainstay and the largest comic publisher. And Marvel Comics' whole idea was to break that mold with the extreme, type comics where you had what is it, pouches and more guns and nobody could draw feet, but it worked. And they crafted great stories within a shared universe. They crafted, you know, what is it? Stan and Jack Kirby. I mean, the dream team. Everybody goes into the history of it, but as a reader, you don't necessarily have to do that. Yes, Jack Kirby got crapped out of a lot of his ideas, and Stan Lee took credit for a lot of things that weren't necessarily his, but that's just because of his namesake. Um, but that was the dream team. I mean, you got stuff like the Fantastic Four, you got the Avengers, you got Doctor Strange, you got Spider Man with God, I'm blanking, but Steve Ditko. And nowadays, it seems like they're just letting anybody play with those toys, and without any real idea of what that character is like. I mean, what was I saw the other day is that Captain America has gone from being a Nazi to a member of Antifa in a matter of years, and none of that
Not even
falls.
that.
Yeah, and none of that
Oh,
falls
sorry.
within the ideology of Captain America. Go ahead.
Yeah, the modern Captain America of the last year and a half, after Secret Empire, he's not even Captain America anymore. The real Captain America is what people refer to as Captain Hydra, because the way they chose to write that ending, the real Captain America is Hydra,
Hmm.
and the one that we have now is literally a dream created by Bucky,
Right. And
which is ridiculous to
well,
the character itself.
and you also had, and we talked about this previously with another guest, but you also had the Falcon becoming Captain America, which personally I think they just missed the boat on calling him the American Eagle when they gave him the shield.
Thank you.
Would have been so much cooler.
It would have been so much cooler. You don't need the shield. Just a redesign, maybe like a bit more powerful weapons, I guess. But you don't need to make him Captain America. In fact, unless someone has a super soldier, so they shouldn't be Captain America in the first place.
Right.
Because how is he supposed to be as capable or even have the same level of accuracy as a super soldier when throwing the stupid shield?
He's got wings, bro.
He has
Yeah, come on.
bulletproof wings.
But No, I get what they were trying to do. There, it was during the whole woke era of Marvel when you had, and I feel like they're stepping away from that a little bit now. But back in those days, it was, and this was what, probably 2, 3 years ago when it first started. But you had Jane Foster becoming the actual Thor. You had you had this Asian kid becoming the Hulk and completely destroying the dynamic of what it meant to be the Hulk. That tragic relationship of, well, I'm a hero and people need this power, but I hate my life because I have no control over it. That dynamic is what made Bruce Banner an interesting character. And then you have Amadeus Cho come in, and he's just he's a happy-go-lucky kid that loves being the Hulk. He just hulks out because he's happy to be Hulk.
Lol so random, as your
It's
boy
like-
Zach says.
Yeah,
It's like they forgot they had A-Bomb. They forgot that was A-Bomb's exact character.
Yeah.
With the added distress that he couldn't be normal anymore. So you knew that his excited attitude was just to mask the fact that he still did not feel human. But with Amadeus Cho, with I can switch back between Hulk and normal anytime, and I don't have anger issues anymore. I don't have anger issues to go with being the Hulk. What is the point of him being the Hulk?
right. And then at the same time, you gave Falcon the Shield. Spider Gwen became a normal fixture in the Marvel universe. They brought in Miles Morales as the mainstay of being Spider-Man, which I have no problem with Miles as a character. He was developed well enough in the Ultimate series, and I kind of have a soft spot for the Secret War storyline that brought Miles into the Marvel universe. So, because Hickman wrote it, and Hickman's a goddamn genius, I don't care. I'll fight you, bro. But outside of that, like, there was just so much like forced diversity taking place, and there was no creativity because the fans would have either made or broken any new character you made, and they just decided, well, we'll just take established characters, we'll take the established storylines, and we'll just turn everything on its head for the sake of diversity. And it doesn't work that way. The fans just aren't going to put up with it.
I mean, Ironheart is a big part of that because the entire Tony Stark had to die, literally had to die to bring in Ironheart, to let her be a thing at first. And again, Tony died, he made an AI, put that AI in a new body, so the real Tony Stark is dead. The real Captain America is dead.
Hold on 1 second. What's going on, Denny? We have a surprise drop.
Hey,
Completely unplanned.
yeah.
Where'd you come from? How'd you
Sorry.
sneak in here? I thought I changed the locks in here.
It's all good, man.
I didn't mean to derail everything. I sent a message, but I wasn't getting a reply, so I figured I got the permissions. I'll stop it. I'm drunk. I'll stop it.
Well, Atomic Denny Poe is a good friend of the show. He did the background.
Yeah, no,
And,
I'm a big fan of Poe's Twitter.
okay.
My Twitter, nobody should be a fan of it. You should just basically exclude this.
No, I mean it's disgusting and awful, and I hate it, but I love it.
That's what I want to hear.
Oh man. Well.
So what are we talking about? What I interrupt?
Oh, we're
Oh,
go ahead.
Oh, the amazing Ironheart story.
Yeah.
I was basically bringing up the Ironheart and also the fact that the big three, Iron Man and Steve, 2 out of the big three don't exist anymore. What we have is an AI in a clone body and a dream created by Bucky using the Cosmic Cube.
Yeah.
You're talking about comic book continuity right now.
Yeah, for
Okay.
basically ruining characters to bring in forcefully diversify the Marvel universe, which really didn't need it.
Well, they're setting up alternatives for every heavy hitter they've got. Instead of, and I like Miles Morales, but instead of Peter Parker, we're going to have Miles Morales and Ghost Spider. Instead of Iron Man, we're going to have Riri Williams. Instead of Man Thor, we're going to have Natalie Portman Thor. Like they're setting up all of this, and they've been doing it for years. That's what I've been saying for a while. Is they're just slowly inching their way towards having having replaced the old generation of Marvel. It's what Disney did with Star Wars by introducing like Force Awakens was like, yeah, here's the things you remember, kind of, sorta, and it's cool. But now we're done with that and we're moving forward. Like that was phase one of like Marvel. Here's your Iron Man, here's your Captain America, as you remember them, and now we're moving past those.
Do you guys remember seeing?
Hold on, Dial D for Death in the chat brought up a really good point. Did they fucking forget that they had Blade and Static Shock? Like,
oh wait, Static Shock is DC.
No, that's DC, right?
Yeah,
but
DC.
Did they forget that they had Blade? Like, they could have pushed a new Blade line.
Blade.
Yeah.
They ruined.
Yeah, no, Blade would be cool. Luke Cage done competently would be cool.
Luke Cage got cucked. Yeah. Luke Cage got cucked in Civil War.
Well, I'm talking about the film continuity and television. I'm not up on the what's going on in the comic books.
Yeah, we're talking
you actually brought up a good point.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. You brought up a really good point, Denny, about the film continuity. Like what I call what's going on in Marvel Comics right now because of Disney. They're MCU-ifying the comics. Like things things like what's it called? What's his name? The green guy from Guardians of the Galaxy. I forget his name all the time. Drax.
Yeah,
Drax in the comics is a different beast than Drax in the MCU.
Yeah, Drax was created specifically to destroy Thanos. Like he is a heavily engineered weapon against a Titan. He's not just some folly that's an idiot.
Yeah, but like in the comics recently, there have been like little hints that he's been acting exactly the same as the MCU Drax for no real reason. Right. Things like
because that's marketable.
It's marketable.
Yeah, that makes money. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just. Go ahead.
You're good. No, and like just in general, a lot of these things you notice. Like I don't read Marvel comics as much as I should to keep up, but it hurts me to read, so I just only drop in every now and then. And even when I drop in, I notice these little hints that they're just MCU-ifying everything.
Well, let me take that point and bring this up. Recently, we dove headfirst into a new series that Marvel was putting out, two of them, House of X and Powers of X, where they were basically giving Jonathan Hickman the reins to X-Men. And I feel like those two stories, they were well crafted and they definitely felt like Hickman. But the fact that they've now come out with between 5 and 10 new X titles, and completely
it's ridiculous.
And they've just completely derailed everything that was accomplished with House of X and Powers of X. I don't know. It feels like they just don't care anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, it gives the impression that they really just, they don't know what works anymore. They have their idea of what they think works, and so they're just pushing full steam ahead with that, and it really doesn't, and they're not listening to anybody.
Well, instead of listening to the people that actually go into comic book shops and buy comics, they're following Tumblr.
Exactly.
It's essentially what they're doing.
But there is something, because you were talking about the MCU is MCUing up the comic books, but it also goes the other way around. The failed ideas from comic books past are like influencing the MCU. Like they're trying to push ideas that didn't work. Like Girl Thor. Nobody liked Girl Thor. Nobody bought Girl Thor. So like,
do you guys remember seeing Natalie Portman? Her 98-pound ass holding the hammer. It looked ridiculous.
It really did.
Do you remember that cardboard cutout of Natalie Portman that was in the first two Thor movies?
You mean just Natalie Portman?
Yeah. And then something kind of really different that they're doing is with the Hulk. In the 90s, they made the Hulk like, oh yeah, he's the Hulk, but he's intelligent. Bruce Banner and the Hulk, like, they understand each other now, and they're like coexisting. And it was like lame, and nobody liked like a Hulk that was like had command of his emotions. Like, but they're doing that again, and I don't.
We brought that up at almost the very beginning of the discussion when we brought up
Amadeus Cho.
Yeah, because that's the thing. That's what makes Hulk. That's what gives Hulk the dichotomy of his character is the struggle between the raging monster and the super intelligent doctor.
Exactly.
Although-
So nobody likes weird CGI kind-faced Hulk. They want him to be a
I
lunatic.
do like Mr. Fix-It though, the Gray Hulk.
Joe Fix-It, yeah.
He was
Ye-
always, or Joe Fix-It, yeah. He was always fun,
But
I like Grey
especially
Hulk.
when Wolverine would just do things just to irritate him.
anyway, let's kind of wrap it back around. With the comics and the continuity of recent times, like you said, there's ideological problems. Now, where do you think these problems come from, Puh?
Where do I think they come from? I think they come from like whoever. Well, part of it is from Disney. Part of it is, of course, from Disney. But I think they largely come from ever since like the early 2010s when stuff started to be very drastically different from 2000s Marvel. I think it's just generally the idea that woke was good. As long the woker you were, the better. Like, if have you guys read America Chavez?
No.
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 Okay, so America Chavez she is everything that I hate in Marvel comics. She is the ideal of the woke comic.
Yeah. Miss Marvel also fits that bill, and I have been unfortunate enough to read one of those.
Miss Marvel is literally an oasis compared to America Chavez.
Oh God.
Like
It's that bad.
it is that bad. Oh my god! I literally I'm seething right now. The more I talk about her, because
On
she
the
was
Keep going.
on the upside, nobody likes America Chavez. Nobody likes America Chavez, nor knows who she is. So I mean, imagine a world where America Chavez was like as popular as Carol Danvers, and I mean, I don't even think Carol Danvers should be popular, but
no. Really,
imagine a
there's
world.
there's no in-universe reason for Carol to be popular. It makes no sense in the timeline or just in general the events that have happened. So let's just.
Oh well, you know, Poe. It sounds to me like you hate women.
You know what?
That's
You know what? You know
That's
what?
a joke.
Imagine being a
I'm
simp
gonna
that
leave
doesn't
it to
hate women.
Yeah.
I say that with my two daughters and my beautiful wife. You know.
Oh yeah, no, that was a joke.
No, but like every time I see that on Twitter, someone like just say you hate women and leave. I'm like, okay, I hate women. So it's just become something like, you know what? If you want me to say it, I will say it just so to get you to go away.
Oh, it's
But basically,
it's gotten to the point on Twitter where I can't sleep at night until someone calls me a Nazi. So don't feel bad.
but like America Chavez, okay, she was created first. First of all, she like when she was started out, she was a character. She had her faults, her good sides, her bad sides. But she was created by I think two white guys. She was bisexual from an alternate Earth called the parallel utopian parallel, which was all women. She was a princess, and
How do they reproduce? America Chavez.
She was also
America
Well,
Chavez
she was also,
first
like-
appeared in 2011, and Vengeance #1 was created by Joe Casey and Nick Dragotta.
I was gonna say she was also kind of sort of like a novelty token character in concept too. Like it wasn't like
So she's like all the woke things. Is that what I'm hearing?
well, yeah, but I
She
feel
later
like
became all the woke things.
the concept behind her creation was more like, yeah, imagine the wacky things we could do with a character of this origin, not this is the most important role model a female can have. Like, you know what like it was more like this is a
Make her
bisexual
disabled and a tranny at this
Latino
part, and
alien woman.
Let me again, and I mentioned this before the show started. I am going to have to step in and play devil's advocate for one moment, because this is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. Instead of diversifying your existing roster, make a new character, and the market will make or break them. And that's exactly what happened with America Chavez. The market just strongly and roundly rejected the concept of a Mary Sue who basically had what was the equivalent to God powers when she was first introduced. I mean, there's literally no struggle in any of her fights. Like it's all her taking down the patriarchy. She's fighting against the bad men when it's not really even a fight. She just shows up and drops you into a portal to fucking nowhere if you piss her off, right?
Yeah. Well, like what you just said kind of highlights my problem with the industry as a whole right now. There are things that should fail as a concept, that should fail because people don't buy them, but the swollen, bloated industry that it is won't let those things die. Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, can't launch a book, can't successfully launch a book, but they just keep giving her books.
Yeah.
She if you fail once, you should be out of there. But if you fail, like, what is it, 4 to 5 titles now?
At least 7.
Like, you shouldn't.
There's been at least 7 Captain Marvel #1s with Danvers.
So the market says she should die off, or at least this interpretation of that character should die off, but the industry just won't let it.
I mean, the thing is, the issue with America Chavez, while she was bad enough before her solo run, she was doing things like awing like heavy hitters like Spectrum, a Herald of Galactus, or people who fight multiverse beings or whatever, were literally looking her fight and going, "Oh my god, she's so amazing." But her solo run, like by Gabby Rivera, I don't know if you've heard of Gabby Rivera.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, good. So you know Gabby Rivera.
Yeah.
Gabby Rivera assassinated a character that didn't need to be assassinated. She literally sent her to this ridiculous space Hogwarts called Sotomayor University, like after the Supreme Court justice. The Supreme Court justice Sotomayor.
Wait. You're
Tommy Sotomayor?
You're shitting us, right?
No, you're gonna have to repeat all of that. Like try and just go back through that again. My mind can't process it.
Am I having I think I'm having a stroke right now. Say that slower.
So
they were sent to a university to learn from Tommy Sotomayor.
Okay, so the book starts out with literally her fighting with the Ultimates, just doing stuff like punching out the big villain that Spectrum, the Black Captain Marvel, was having trouble with, and she just punches it out, and that's the beginning of the book. And the beginning of the book starts out with every character: Storm, Miles Morales, Loki, and so many others going like, "Oh my god, she's so amazing! She's the best thing since My Chemical Romance and The Cure." That's an actual quote. She's the best thing since My Chemical Romance and The Cure.
Well, that's pretty damn good.
And Gabby Rivera is literally in a panel saying, "Oh, she's the best thing since all of us." And Miles,
Martin Luther King. She's the best thing since Martin Luther King.
We actually have somebody here who wants to give a quick take. Hold on a second. Go ahead, Alex.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water. The friggin' frog's gay.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
Alex was right about that.
he technically was, actually.
But
so we go for and then the next big scene, she's making out with her girlfriend on the steps of their house. There's a rainbow flag right next to them, of course, because it just has to be. And then it's like, "Oh, we're lovey-dovey." Then we cut next to a bed scene, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to move to New York with you. I'm kind of really happy here." And she was like, "Why? You don't want to move? You don't want to live your life with me? And then why don't you want to come to New York with me?" I don't know where she lives, but I think it's California. So basically, the next scene,
of course it is.
She creates a star portal. She creates a star portal. Remember, she can teleport across the galaxy and fly at like light speed. Mm-hmm. She punches a star portal, and then the next scene, she's talking. She leaves. She teleports out, and the next scene, she's talking to Kate Bishop, fixing a car in the middle of nowhere for no reason. And you're immediately wondering, why is there such a big issue about your girlfriend not wanting to move with you that you would break up with her so violently when you literally can fly at light speed and teleport across the galaxy? You literally teleport to leave her right then.
Right, like you literally are the answer to your problem. You move to New York, you set up your own apartment, and then you visit your girlfriend every other night. What the fuck is the deal?
That's like if Superman complained about not being able to make a lunch date with Lois Lane. Like,
well,
you can fucking move at light speed, you douche. You're a fucking liar.
I want to.
You're Superman.
I
What's
want to.
holding Superman up from a lunch date?
I want to. I want to educate the audience on Gabby Rivera a little bit, because being given a brand new launching title at Marvel Comics of a self-insert character, that's a pretty big honor, right? You would expect that this person has some tremendous comic book accolades, right? I mean, they must have had an award-winning run on the Avengers. They must have been able to sell 1 million books on fucking Spider-Man, whatever it is. This person who got to create a self-insert character and pin it for over a year before it was canceled. They've got some tremendous comic accolades under their belt, right?
Or they sucked off Rob Liefeld.
Well,
I mean, I doubt Gabby did that.
This is from the not Rob Liefeld, Joe Quesada. Joe Quesada is the name you're looking for.
Oh, okay.
This is from the Wikipedia article under career. Rivera is an editor at Autostraddle, an online magazine for, about, and written by LGBTQIA plus women. There's more letters than the last time I read that. Occasional trans men and non-binary people.
Intersex.
What's the A?
Asexual. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I hate that we know that. Rivera has also written poems and short stories. She is an activist and youth mentor through her work on youth programs. This can't be right. This does nothing about comic books. But she has been published a couple of times. Let's look at what one of her first publishing was. Oh, Juliet.
Wait a minute.
Now wait a minute.
Is she J.J. Abrams' son?
No.
That's enough to get you a comic book.
Jesus Christ.
God, was that comic book awful.
Juliet Takes a Breath from 2016 is a semi-autobiographical fictional coming-of-age novel about a gay Latina woman dealing with her identity. Does that sound familiar, ladies and gentlemen?
Wait. I don't understand the sentence you just said.
Yeah, I said no one should. I said words, but they don't make sense when they're put together in that order. But her second published work is Miss America, America Chavez series at Marvel Comics from March 2017 to April 2018.
Oh yeah, we remember those halcyon years when America Chavez was all you could find.
So
America Chavez, Miss America 2017. I remember that.
Like when America Chavez first came out and I decided to read it just to give it a try. Do you know the first thing I did before I opened the book? Like I went to find
a shot of bleach.
I would have been smart, but I went to find the author's Twitter, and like one of the first tweets I see is from like December, like 2016 December. Is like, anyone else feeling triggered AF at the mere sight/presence of white dudes, solo but especially in groups? The panic and threat level is too real. And I was like, oh, so it's this kind of book.
Is that the online equivalent of crossing the street when you see a bunch of black guys when you're walking down the sidewalk?
I mean, it's like, I don't know what she was thinking.
Speaking of white dudes, did anyone see Heather Antos tweeting out her resume today?
Oh God.
I did not.
Link it in the show suggestions. I'll bring it up.
I'm not gonna go find it.
Not do it.
I tweeted a dog puking at it. That was...
Oh Jesus Christ!
Like,
by the way, can we just say
America Chavez.
Denny is the best Denny.
What's that, Pop?
Yeah, he is.
Oh no, like America Chavez, like you know how like people talk about, oh, she's gay and Latina and whatever.
Uh-huh.
Like she's not even like, first thing, she's not gay. Like her species is all women. Like she's not gay. That's just their thing. There's no gay there. That's just what they do. She's not Latina because, first of all, she's from a universe where that doesn't exist. And she just came and she found some
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
No,
she's
literally
from
look
space.
like her.
She's from space
Yeah, I
Mexico.
remember
Those
this.
guys have colonized out there. It's fine.
she chose to be Latina because an old Mexican woman made her a plate of like burritos or
The
something.
thing is, she doesn't have a
I'm dead
specific.
serious.
That
That was
cannot be
page.
true.
You can't be
No,
fucking serious.
Poe, tell him. Poe,
It is
tell him.
canon. That is literally how she tells her backstory. She tells that backstory. Like she tells about how she spent her youth going from one Latin country to the next. Basically, so I'm basically just generally Latina. That's basically her whole thing.
The panel is written like, mi abuela made me a grande plate of burritos. And
It's basically what it is.
it's like written in Spanglish. It's ridiculous.
No, and the thing is, the Spanglish in this book is horrible. And you know what's super interesting? Gabby Rivera doesn't speak Spanish.
Shocker. Shocking.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Uh,
Oh my Jesus. All right. That's fantastic.
Like the comic is so stereotyped though. That
Hold
even
on,
Christopher Columbus would be like, "Hey, can we be a bit more racially sensitive here?"
Can I after hearing that description, there's only one thing that I have to say in response
No.
to that. Okay,
So you
I'm
got
better
the sound,
now.
you got the sound blips working, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, we rigged it. We got it working for our purposes at least.
Oh my
no, I
god!
actually shot myself just live on.
I don't mean to get too off of comic books, but I do want to bring up that clip of Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks I posted earlier, going, "We are homo progressives." I love that clip so much.
Well, I'll track that down.
That should be all over Twitter.
I'll
Yeah, DM that to Church on Twitter so we can add that to our soundboard.
yeah, or put it on the show links or whatever, and I'll pull it up. But no, I don't know.
Back
man.
to comic books.
The ideologies at Marvel. So I don't think we've actually touched on. I mean, obviously you said Disney and trying to MCU up the actual comic books, but I don't honestly know that that's what it is, considering we've seen the failing numbers of comic books just increase over the past 10 years. Like, it almost feels to me like Marvel Comics has gotten so comfortable with their deal with Diamond, with the fact that a sale to them is putting a book on the shelf at a comic store and not putting a book in the hands of a reader. And with that kind of mentality, it feels like ever since Joe Quesada took over in the early 2000s that he's been painstakingly trying to undo everything that Marvel Comics accomplished because it's a sinking ship.
Well, I'm probably gonna hop off. So if I could give a last point really quick, adding on that,
Absolutely.
I would say that maybe I would say that maybe it's kind of both ways. Originally, it started out with the MCU feeding on the source material of the comic books, what was usable, what was popular, and that's why the original run of Marvel movies are actually like pretty good. Like, people don't have very many complaints about them. But then once the Marvel movies became popular enough to be their own machine, then it became like, okay, we got these little hints of social politics in our Marvel like MCU movies, and now that that's its own popular like marketable machine, let's kind of put that in the comic books. Let's use what storylines from the comic books fit that narrative. Let's put more things that fit that narrative in the new comic books. I think it's a little bit of them feeding off each other and working off of each other. I think originally the idea was what works. Yeah, people like Iron Man. People want to see Captain America versus Red Skull. People want to see Iron Man make his suit. But now it's like that was popular. So what social progress can we now use to springboard off of that popularity. That's my take.
I mean, I don't think you're. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I don't know that it's even as well thought out as that. Like, I don't think that Marvel is thinking beyond the seat of their pants. Like, I think they're literally just milking the direct market as long as they can because they know it's going to die.
I mean, can I actually make a point here?
Of course, you're the guest.
I'm sorry. Just like we've mentioned Captain Marvel, and like I didn't want to talk about Carol because of her whole thing is just also irritating. But like the issue with Carol about how her popularity just popped out of nowhere and she's the world's greatest hero despite it making no sense. That's exactly kind of like what Marvel tends to do with characters. They really have a big thing about telling and not showing or even building at all. Like Civil War, no build up. Secret Empire, no build up.
Right.
But especially Captain Marvel's popularity. The same way they suddenly made Cyclops the next mutant Hitler. Everybody's calling him the most evil guy, and how mutants are impressing Inhumans because they don't want to die because of the Inhuman space cloud. It's like,
yeah, no. So Poe is exactly right. That's what they've been doing for like a while. Like, I mean, if you gave me some time, I could probably list a bunch, but off the top of my head, it's like you're supposed to care about these characters without having built them. Like that little girl in like the 4th Transformers movies, like she was in all the marketing, and it's like, who cares? Or Rey didn't earn her powers, but you're supposed to care about her. We're being told to care about her. Carol Danvers, we're supposed to care about her. Like suddenly Harley Quinn, for some reason. I like Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn's really cool, and I do like Harley Quinn. But like this Suicide Squad version, this plucky, sexy, quirky
clown tank girl. Just say what it is, clown tank girl.
Yeah, well, yeah, clown tank girl, hot topic Harley Quinn. She's likable because she's likable. Carol Danvers is important because she's important. Like that's just what they like. That this is nothing new. It's just had a major uptick.
Like but the very interesting about Carol, like her new personality is just general hard ass strong woman. But she's basically strong woman from South Park, but with more power and
yeah.
But the interesting thing is like. She's been mind wiped like at least 2 or 3 times now, and that's how they explain her new personality if they ever bother to. That's how I think they might explain it.
Greta doesn't appreciate
on that
though.
I'm gonna say goodbye. Thanks for allowing me to pop on, derail everything.
Thanks, Denny. We
Denny.
always love these interludes. They're never expected, and we have no idea that they're actually going to happen, but we love it when they do.
Yeah, I keep it interesting.
You do.
And if you ever need any art, contact Atomic Denny for commissions if they're open, because the man is a genius. He'll even add a ponytail.
Are closed at the moment.
Well, he'll even add a ponytail free of charge
in post. Yeah. All right. See you guys.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
I just want to bring up Einbrock in the chat says he liked Carol better when she was comatose. Rogue did humanity a favor.
Yes, that was Carol Danvers. That was Carol Danvers' greatest moment, is having all of her powers and personality sucked out by Rogue and put in a little cage inside of her head.
That's pretty much true. I mean, Carol is just like she was an okay character. She was C-list. She had really strong powers, but she was a C-lister.
Yeah. Well, let's just be real here. If you want to go woke, does anybody remember fucking Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel from the 80s?
I don't know why they don't do more with her, honestly.
She had pockets in her dress. My wife, Mrs. Church, the lovely Mrs. Church, loves Monica Rambeau because Monica Rambeau actually made a point to point out that her dress had pockets. Like, this is a character that...
What is it with women anytime they're wearing a dress that has pockets on it, and you say like, "Oh, that's a nice dress." They're like, "I know it has pockets," and they like shove their hands in it and like pull the pockets forward to show you.
Do you not realize how?
I think it's just pockets are so rare.
Yeah. Like, have you ever looked at a
in
woman's
women's clothing?
Oh, this is a stupid question, but have you ever looked at a woman's ass in jeans? There, those pockets aren't real. Those are not real pockets. Those are pieces of fabric stitched to the actual pair of jeans, so that it can keep the appearance of jeans and still show off a shapely ass. And women don't start carrying billfolds.
I mean, as they should. What do they need to carry a wallet around for when they're just cooking dinner?
Being the only married man on a stream is fun. But anyway, no, I don't think that Marvel has accomplished anything with their new ideology, with their new diversity. And I stand by my statement. I think that they're just running it into the ground for as long as they can, because it's like I said, I've worked in comic shops off and on for the past 10 years. And, even if it was just showing up to do the pull list every week and make sure that the books got bagged and boarded and put up on the shelf so that people could find them, I've always kind of noticed that when they would put out something good, it actually sold. Superior Spider-Man was a runaway success that nobody saw coming. And I didn't particularly like it at first, but it was good.
I loved that. I loved it from day one.
Yeah.
I don't know how old I was, but I was at maybe 16, I think.
Yeah.
That was like 6 years ago, right?
Oh, man, yeah, you're a youngin'.
No, I was 16 and I found it and I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. This is a masterpiece. Otto Octavius as Spider-Man, punching Wolverine because he doesn't care what he thinks, just doing what he feels like he needs to do to be a good Spider-Man. This is everything I wanted.
Yeah.
And it was the only Marvel comic. Well, I read Ultimates too at that time. Like, I read Ultimate Spider-Man at that time.
Were you checked out before?
Those are the only two I read.
Were you checked out before or after the Blob ate the Wasp?
Okay. See, here's the thing. When the Blob ate the Wasp, I had already given up on most everything but Spider-Man at that time in the Ultimate Universe. Because Ultimates 3 especially, I don't know what it was.
It was pretty fucking awful. Let's see. Gay Centurion in the chat says women spend their time complaining about equal wage when they should be worrying about pockets. Rick Piper, Cross Comics in the chat says, problem is they're trying to make Carol Danvers into Wonder Woman and she'll never come close. I agree with that.
Oh, not even that.
Yeah.
They're trying to make her Wonder Woman and do you know what her new name is? Her new real name?
What?
Kar-El.
Are you shitting?
Literally. We find out that she's a Kree, that her mother is a Kree, who was just hiding out on Earth and who was one of the good Kree. Even though Mar-Vell was literally a rare beast because he was an actual good Kree.
Yeah.
So but apparently no. That's Carol too. Carol's descent. Her mother's a good Kree who was just hanging out on Earth doing her thing, and she said Carol's powers didn't come from Mar-Vell; they came from her Kree genetics, which makes no sense because normal Kree aren't on her level of power.
No, not at all. And I think it's disingenuous for them to do that. Honestly, first off, even a good Kree would never breed with a human.
They wouldn't
ever. As a race, they're as close to Nazi Germany as possible.
except for the alternate universe one. Except for the alternate universe, Novar, but he's already like a mutt already, so it doesn't count.
Right. I mean, that's kind of like saying Super Skrull did something degenerate. Well, he's fucking Super Skrull. What do you want? But going on to other titles, because
look.
Go ahead.
Sorry, look at this coming from Dark Knight Grave. He says her mother was a Kree, but her husband was abusive. That makes no sense.
Yeah, literally, you would just I don't know, eat his fucking face off.
I'm gonna pimp slap this super powerful alien bitch. Put her in her place.
Right, you know, who was her fucking husband?
Gotta keep
Superman?
that pimp strong.
Was Galactus? That's what they're going to reveal. Galactus is Carol Danvers' father. That's where she gets extra
No,
power from.
and the weird thing is, her dad, up until this recent reboot, her dad wasn't even abusive. He was a drunk, but like he was a drunk and he knew it, and he was mad at himself. Not he didn't make it his children's or his wife's fault. But this recent run just decided, yeah, Carol's dad was just a dick and hurt the whole family, and
You know,
that's why she's messed up.
not to play the race card or anything, but you know, white man bad.
That is Marvel, yeah.
You know, and that's another thing. Marvel has taken it upon themselves personally to demonize their entire loyal fan base. Like, is it a white superhero? Is it a white male? Either make it a woman or make them a minority or both. But no white men.
Or make him a jerk and deserving
Right.
suffering.
Make him a Nazi. You know.
That actually brings up a point. You remember how Superior Spider-Man was dating Anna Maria Marconi?
Yeah.
There was actually a point where Anna Maria Marconi's, I think her black friend was talking to Otto Octavius like, "Oh, you whore!" Just basically insulting him for being a white guy and all that. And then Anna Maria was like, "No, Otto's one of the good ones. He's not like Spider-Man. He liked me for me."
Oh no. No. See, I had checked out by then. See, I'm more of a fan of older stuff. My bread and butter comes from like the 50s and 60s, Legion of Superheroes. You know, I tout that one of my prized possessions in my comic collection is I tracked down a full set of reader copies of Rom Space Knight. And those are the books that I like. You're a young guy. I'm not sure if you've ever been exposed to that era of Marvel outside of a couple of back issues. I don't know what your.
I don't believe so. But my favorite Captain Marvel, though,
Yeah,
Janice Vell. Janice Vell was like Peter David. That was my best Captain Marvel.
yeah. I am not familiar with that one. For me, it was either Marvel or Monica Rambeau, but that's because I got into comics like hardcore in the early '90s when I was just learning to read, really. And Secret Wars '87, excuse me, was kind of a big deal in my history of comics. And if you remember correctly, Rhodey was filling in for Tony Stark back then, and Monica Rambeau was Captain Marvel, and Storm was leading the X-Men. So I don't understand how we got from that kind of natural diversity and just the ability to naturally move into those kind of story arcs. Beta Ray Bill was Thor for a while in that time frame. Um, Literally like a horseman. Like, you don't get any more diverse than being Sarah Jessica Parker's son. But you had a Black Iron Man, a female African American Captain Marvel. You had you had true diversity in comics, and now they can't even force it correctly. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand how we got from here to there, and the only answer I can actually come up with is Joe Quesadilla. Like that's the only thing. And this guy is on record giving head pats to a known internet troll named Renfamous. I don't know if you're familiar with her. If you're not, consider yourself.
Oh, she eventually blocked me. It took her a while, but she eventually blocked me.
I've been blocked on like 4 accounts by her. It's impressive, but it's probably
and somehow I'm still not blocked by her.
Well, she doesn't blockbot me personally. She blockbots people that I follow well before you knew me. So I think you're doing good.
Yeah,
but Renfamous is Like that's apparently the type of customer that Marvel wants these days. Are these
Yeah, that's exactly her.
unemployed, blue hair, woke, just. But the thing is these people don't buy books. Like they don't go into the comic shop and buy
No, no.
books. The people that buy books are people like you and me, people like Ayrton. We're people that go in and we've been reading comics since we were able to read, or we got into comics at a very formidable age, and they're an escape. But when they stop being an escape and begin to be a persecution, you can't expect somebody of Caucasian descent to keep going in and supporting Marvel Comics day in and day out when white man bad. You can't cuck and to step over into DC for a moment even. You can't cuck Batman at the altar and expect people to be okay with that. Shit like that doesn't work.
Oh God! Please don't talk about Tom King. I'm so mad. I've just been so mad against Tom King since. Did you see what he did to Captain Atom?
No, I didn't. And if you tell me, I'm probably gonna have to shoot myself.
He had his new Mary Sue Gotham Girl, whose powers are basically she can draw upon her life force to basically just be a Kryptonian, basically.
Well, no, Batman
and
gave
like
her a piece of platinum kryptonite now.
Yeah,
she
Batman
has
gave her
Kryptonian
platinum
powers.
krypton. Yeah. So, like, could you imagine that giving someone who was so desperate for power that she would accept something that she knew would kill her the more she used it, all that power? Like, does that sound like Batman?
And he revealed his identity to her.
He revealed his identity to someone who was that desperate for power.
Yeah, and gave away
that's
his
Tom King's Batman.
Yeah, he gave away his ace in the hole against Superman. That if he had if platinum kryptonite had been a factor in Dark Knight Returns, it would have been a very different book. Let's just be real about this.
that fight would have ended. That fight would have ended in 10 seconds.
Yeah,
that fight would have ended before. No, that fight would have ended in a nanosecond at Kryptonian speed. That would have been done. I hate it so much.
Matt Christie in the chat says it's the same as most industries now. The people causing all the fuss are not the customer base, and that's absolutely true. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Uh-oh.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought you were still talking. Sorry.
No. I occasionally jump out and read things in the chat. I try to do that. We don't have super chats. I let the audience interact. But
like a person like Tom King's Catwoman knocked out 3 speedsters. Kid Flash, Wally West Flash, and Barry Allen Flash. They were coming from 3 different directions at supersonic speed, and she was able to kick each of them.
Yeah.
Before they reached her.
That's you do.
Tom King's Catwoman. That's like instead of like she didn't break her legs against their super fast bodies. She was somehow able to see where they were coming from.
What, you can't do that? I mean, I did that, just Friday night.
Let's
wait, that was
did you see
3 gay men trying to rape me? Never mind.
God damn it, Ayrton. Did you see the show Deceased? Or not the show, the series Deceased that DC recently put out?
Which one?
It was called Deceased.
Oh, Deceased. I know the cliff notes. I didn't feel like reading it because I don't want another dark universe. I came back to DC because of Rebirth. I don't want another dark universe type thing ruining my day when I read it.
Well, we'll talk Rebirth in just a second, but Deceased actually had a really interesting spot. We reviewed it on the channel and went through it issue by issue, but one of the things that happened was that Barry Allen got infected with the virus, and
the apocalyptic virus.
Yes, the anti-life equation.
Yeah.
And he got infected with that and started running across the planet, spreading it. So Superman took off full speed halfway, and even Superman, the Man of Steel, the invulnerable son of Krypton, when he collided with the Flash and turned him into basically paste, the Flash was moving so quickly that some of the Flash's extremities got stuck inside of Superman. You're telling me
Yeah, I
that
remember
Catwoman tripped up a speedster? You can go fuck yourself. Not you personally, but whoever wrote that bullshit can just kiss my southern asshole.
Tom
But
King. That's Tom King for.
you can take your 85 issue run on Batman that never got to 100 because you're a fucking bitch who couldn't sell, and you can kiss my asshole. You do not stop a speedster without superpowers, and you still get fucking hurt. But anyway, Rebirth, that was a different animal. I actually appreciated Rebirth until they abandoned it halfway through the print run for the new DC branding and decided that the Dark Multiverse was going to take precedent over everything else. Not that the Dark Multiverse wasn't kind of a cool concept, but fucking shit, how many multiverses?
It really was.
Like, how many multiverses? How many earth-shattering? Like, let's just reestablish the characters to a like you were doing well, and then you just had to fuck it up by doing a line-wide event again.
Can I also bring up Bendis basically ruining the family dynamic that was making Superman so wonderful?
Yeah, you can. Feel free. Go ahead. Go off.
Like we had John Kent and Damian Wayne, brothers in arms, who were basically like the best duo that I'd seen in DC since Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. And I was loving all of their Avengers and Super Sons. And then you take John Kent and you bring him back a year later, aged up to 18, and then send him off with the Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Well, and it doesn't make sense either because the Legion of Superheroes existed in Superman's absence for a reason. You give them a Superman, they no longer need to exist.
They don't.
Because that was the entire, and again, I'm a Legion buff. Like, the entire idea of the Legion is that these groups of characters who would be useless on their own get together so that they can face earth-shattering things in the absence of a Kryptonian. Like, yeah. I was a little pissed off when they got Mon-El because Mon-El is basically a Kryptonian who's weak to lead, which is an easier folly to write with, but still, I mean, you've still got a fucking Kryptonian. You just put him in a fucking suit.
Just throw a bucket of paint on him from China.
Yeah, basically. But the thing is lead is fatal to his race. The Daxamite lead is fatal. It's not like kryptonite.
You could put him in a 24/7 force field and just solve that problem.
Right, and there's a fucking Legionnaire with a force field power. I mean,
but like,
there was a Legionnaire that became their base too, but. Anyway, go ahead.
But like, what's it called? Doomsday Clock actually, it made me feel a little bit of that joy that I was being leached out of Rebirth with everything. Sure, it made things a bit darker with the what's it called? The metahuman, the Superman theory. Sure, like sure, some of the heroes and villains are just government plants. Okay, yeah, sure, that's a little bit darker, but the ending was worth all of that darkness. The ending was honestly worth all that darkness.
I absolutely love Doomsday Clock, and I didn't know if I should be ashamed of it or not. But
Doomsday Clock, you should not be ashamed.
Like, after I watched the atrocity that was the Watchmen television series, the only good thing about the Watchmen television series is
it made me watch it.
I only made you watch 5 episodes. I watched all of it.
Did Loot Man ever come back?
No.
What? No. How do you have a character that cool for 45 seconds?
I guess they were setting up for a season 2 that was never going to happen.
No, but, yeah, Doomsday Clock, especially the ending, bringing back fucking Power Girl. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just so much good about Doomsday Clock that I guess I don't like. I'm honestly surprised that Captain Atom was not given a bigger role in Doomsday Clock because he's in his own run. He was literally doing Doctor Manhattan level stuff. Like he was literally the Doctor Manhattan of DC Comics until they brought in, of course, the Big Blue Man.
Right.
And like what they're doing now with making Wally West the new Big Blue Man, I don't get it. You have Captain Atom right there. I guess after Tom King's Mary Sue beat him black and blue.
Which Wally West though?
Oh, not Wallace, Wally, the redhead.
Okay. Well, I mean, they did him dirty. I mean, first off, they replaced him, and he had to be black now. Which, again, I have no problem with there being a black Flash, but you don't
But
take
why
away
would you
Wally.
replace him?
Yeah, Wally was
Yeah.
everyone's Flash for like 18 years while Barry was dead. We all thought Barry had been Uncle Ben. For 18 years, Barry had been Uncle Ben. He just wasn't coming the fuck back.
Honestly, I was excited to see Barry come back because, like, who my first Flash was?
I mean, in comics, probably Wally
Bart-
West.
Bart Allen.
Oh shit! Really? He was a Flash when you
that
started
was
reading?
That was the first. Yes, when I started reading Flash, he was the Flash.
Oh,
he was working in a factory. He had a best. Yeah, that was the Flash I grew up with in the
You
comics.
poor thing.
I didn't even realize that. I didn't even remember the name of the Flash in the DC animated universe because in my head all I was like, oh, his name's Bart Allen, and I knew the whole backstory. That was because like Bart Allen. So when I heard his grandpa was coming back, I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's real exciting. We're gonna like a whole family dynamic. So I never understood why people didn't like him coming back because I just thought it felt like a family reunion. I was seeing all the Flashes together.
Well, Barry Allen was my first Flash, but again, I started reading like in reverse. Like my first superhero was Hal Jordan Green Lantern as Parallax. That was my first comic book. After that, I started. Obviously, I was watching Spider-Man the animated series and X-Men the animated series and Batman the animated series, all that shit, because they had good Saturday morning cartoons back then. Because that's how children are supposed to be raised. But you've got the Justice League. Obviously, I saw the Justice League, and so I knew about Barry Allen. So when I would go to the comic book store with my dad with my pocket full of quarters so that I could buy comic books and didn't realize I wasn't being taxed because I was like 6, I would pick up like the stray issue of Crisis on Infinite Earths or Silver Age Flash or whatever that was torn to shreds, but it was still, it was still readable. And that was my introduction to the character. And then, I find out that Flash just kind of stayed dead, and I started reading Flash, and it was like Wally West. Wally West is the Flash. He's not Kid Flash anymore, and I'm enamored by it because he picked up the mantle. He still got the Speed Force powers. It was an accident that he got him, and he picked up the mantle for the deceased Barry Allen. Impulse was always the Bart Allen character to me. You can never you can never get away from Bart Allen being Impulse to me. And then they just kind of phased Bart Allen out of existence for whatever reason. Same with the Tornado Twins. Like, it seems that these companies, Marvel and DC both, they forget their roster and they forget the fact that people have been reading these stories with this character for so long, and they try and shake things up too often. Like it would take a major decline in readership for me as an editor in chief to look at a title and go, you know what? We should shake this up so that more people will read it. Now, fuck that. I want the people who are reading it now to keep reading it. I'm not going to take a gamble that these motherfuckers are going to stop reading and maybe hope some new fucking idiot's going to come in and buy this book. I'm not going to do it.
Especially when you insult the previous readers too,
Right.
for no reason. There's, hey, fuck you guys. We want these people to read, so we're gonna insult you until they come. I don't get that.
But you know,
because white man bad.
Right. And here's the thing: we've talked about diversity being done well a couple of times in this show. Jon Stewart is another example. I even don't mind Jessica Cruz's power ring to Green Lantern heel turn moment, or not heel turn, but face turn. I don't mind it because the Green Lantern is a corps. It is a paramilitary type organization where anybody who puts on the uniform gets the name. I'm fine with that. What I'm not okay with is, again, like you have fucking Lois Lane and Lana Lang Supermen running around in certain areas. Like how? Why? Fuck that. No.
I mean, I guess that it was an homage to Red Blue Superman, so I guess I couldn't be too mad at that one.
Homage to Red Blue Superman should never happen because that's what gave us the Electric Superman in the 90s, and I'm not okay with that.
Okay, yeah, that's also true. That's also true.
I remember when Superman was supposed to be dead forever, and let's be honest, like Superman versus Doomsday, that was peak comic books. Like that was the epitome of people buying $50 on release day issues. You want to know an interesting fact, real quick, that I've learned from working in a comic book store?
Sure.
Aside from some of the indie products, you want to know what one of the only DC comics to actually appreciate and value in the past 10, 15 years is?
What?
New 52 Batman number 1 and 2.
Really?
Huh.
Court of Owls Batman number 1 and 2. Those two books actually appreciated significantly in value. The rest of it, I mean, maybe you get double cover price. But those two books went up to a couple $100 a piece for a little while and then kind of settled out at about 150, $200.
Huh.
Anything else?
So I can get double the cover price for my Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps number 1s from New 52?
You might be able to if you find somebody that actually wants them for that price, but you'd need to get them graded to a 10, though. But
oh, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What did you guys think of Invincible?
I loved Invincible, at least until near the end. Like it got weird near the end.
It did get like you mean after the reboot that wasn't a reboot?
Yeah.
Or like right around that point?
Right around the point that Invincible disappeared for a little while and was replaced by his friend. Yeah.
Oh, you mean when he lost his powers?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a while bit earlier. That was a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, it got weird, and then it just kind of kept getting weirder. But I think the first, I don't know, 7,500 issues were pretty good.
No, his friend taking his place, that was also very weird. The backstory we got for his friend was just, it was dark.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I have to say. Like, we haven't brought this up at all, but I'm sure you're at least a little bit aware of the ongoing saga that is Comicsgate.
Oh, I am. I mean, I've kind of tuned out since like 2019, but it's in the background.
Since the Great Divide is what I call it. But when Mike, Edwin, and Doug left is when it just got entirely too exhausting to kind of keep up with, right?
It's just it suddenly went from nice and fun to fighting all the time, and I didn't know what the fighting was about, so I just
nobody
stopped paying
does.
attention.
That's the problem. I had to explain to Einbrecht, who's in our chat. Hold on, he has something here. If you want readers to read existing properties, make new characters that are well written tie-ins to existing continuity. If they enjoy the new character, they will buy into existing properties. Yeah, I think we've seen that with the reemergence of Spidey 2099. Um, Another diversity book, Miguel Herrera, obviously Hispanic Spider-Man, existed
Well,
well
he's
before.
Hispanic Irish, isn't he?
I mean,
Yeah.
like he's Hispanic Irish, but he's actually also Peter Parker's son because he's the son of the Alchemax uh CEO. But the Alchemax CEO is just Peter Parker,
Yeah, but
which is weird. Where does his heritage come from?
well, Peter Parker, he likes the spicy bitches. What do you want? likes a little guacamole with his dinner. What are you trying to get at here? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, he has some taco fever.
Jesus Christ, Ayrton. I think we need to get the Don to weigh in on that. Don, what do you think? The thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you say?
You're fired.
Damn
Sorry, Ayrton. You gotta go.
Hmm.
The Don
No,
has spoken.
but sorry, what we were just talking about right now, right before Miguel Herrera.
Right.
But just about Spider-Man, if we look at Miles, Miles' whole story got cheapened. He had gone through stress, struggle, finally got accepted as Spider-Man. Then he quit being Spider-Man for a little bit because all Spider-Man had to do that. And then his mom got eaten by fucking Venom.
Yeah.
And then okay, that's just terrible. So now he's back being Spider-Man.
Can we just address the vor fetish at Marvel Comics? I mean, the Blob eats a wasp, Venom eats Miguel's mother. What is going on? What is with the vor fetish?
Hulk ate Wolverine and Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
It's just so weird.
It's a problem.
Is V the editor-in-chief?
That's a deep cut if you don't know internet lore, but V is a Romanian. Go ahead.
So no, Miles was just struggling with being Spider-Man, and then we just get this one scene where he walks into his house, and then Peter Parker is just right there looking for his old costume, and he's like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I'm alive. The Oz. You remember the Oz formula? Yeah, it gives you immortality as long as your body's not completely burnt." And then Miles is just like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm taking my costume and I'm leaving." And he's like, "Wait, what?" And he just knocks Miles out and leaves.
Yeah, he does.
He just knocks Miles out and leaves, and that's what we get. First of all, that cheapened Spider-Man's whole death because now Peter Parker is just out there in Europe hanging out with Gwen, or is it MJ? I forget who he ended up with in Ultimate.
Who the fuck cares?
And then they pull him into regular Marvel. He's redundant because adult Peter is alive, and there's really no real need for him. And also he has the same name. I have a thing with superheroes at the same time with the same name, unless they're like a core or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Miles is just very redundant, and it's very easy to notice. But Miles is just in the regular Marvel universe, but his whole thing is cheapened. His mom is alive. All his struggle doesn't exist anymore. He's literally just a normal teenager hiding his identity. That's all. There's no real struggle anymore.
Right. And going back to Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, and all of these characters. Somebody brought up Champions in the chat. Champions was the worst thing I ever had the misfortune of reading. I think I hated that shit from day one because
it was terrible.
And now they're moving it to a rebranding called Outlawed or some shit, right? That's the new direction they're going. because vigilantes, like, it's basically Civil War all over again. Vigilantes under the age of 18 like can't operate legally or some shit. I'm like, no vigilante can operate legally. What are you talking about? What is wrong with you? All of these people are breaking the law. Like, the
All of
Superhuman
them.
Registration Act was pretty much about that exactly. Like, who gives you the fucking authority to just run around here and act a goddamn fool? Oh, well, you can't stop us. Well, we're the government. We're going to try. And that was the entire storyline. And it worked. I mean, Civil War for me worked. Maybe it was just the fact that Captain America beat the shit out of the Punisher, and the Punisher wouldn't fight back. That was a great scene. But
Oh yeah.
outside of that, like, once Civil War the first was over, like, they tried to revisit it with Danvers being on the Iron Man side, and Iron Man taking up the mantle for Steve. But it didn't work again, and like I I'll always, like I said at the very beginning, I have a very soft spot in
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Were you go ahead and say whatever you said when I couldn't hear you? Hello? Oh God.
Poe?
Oh no!
Oh, he said his mic just died.
Oh shit. Unplug it and plug it back in. Probably how to do that. Oh no.
Well, continue on your tirade while he figures that out.
Well, I was talking about how Secret Wars was, my bread and butter. It was a series that I personally liked just on merit of itself, because we had the Secret Wars in '87. Are you back? I hear some weird noises going on, so I don't know. But you had Secret Wars in '87, you had Secret Wars in '92, and then you had Secret Wars 2015. They're spaced far enough apart that a lot of people who read the original and the second Secret Wars had no idea that there was a previous installment. Um, and if you did, it was because you were a Marvel Comics, you know, file, so to speak.
Right.
Let's see.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm checking the Discord right now. I'm sorry for the riveting radio here, folks. Let's see if oh, that's where Denny's message was. Which Secret Wars exactly? Secret Wars '87 was the first one that I was introduced to because deep lore here. I destroyed 2 sets of that comic that my dad owned when I was 4 years old. I read Secret Wars 2 as it came out because I was like 6 years old. And, I read all my dad's comic books, and he collected that as well. And then Secret Wars 2015, my father had recently passed away. My daughter was on her way, and I saw the issue 0 on Free Comic Book Day, and decided, like an idiot, that I was going to collect that in its entirety, not realizing that it was going to equal out to 252 individual titles plus variant covers. Are you back, Poe?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right. Yes, we can.
Yes. Cool.
I've been vamping.
Yes.
My whole point was revisiting Civil War as soon as they did after the original for Civil War 2 was a mistake, and it's a mistake that Marvel's made over and over again in recent years. And I use Secret
I really
Wars.
don't know why they keep revisiting it.
What now?
I said I really don't know why they keep revisiting it. It never makes sense every single time.
all of their events, they revisit all of their events with major goddamn I don't know, expediency. Like, as soon as they get done with it, they're already planning the second version of it. Secret Invasion, we had that with the Skrulls in the first place, and then Secret Empire was basically Secret Invasion 2. Like, I don't know.
I actually brought up a point about this. Like, you guys know that Marvel's timeline is basically just 14 years long at any given time, right?
Yeah. That's why Captain America: The War he gained notoriety and keep changing.
Yeah, but like Captain America, he in this current Marvel, he woke up in 2006.
Right. Instead of
Um,
the 50s.
and yes, he literally states he woke up before Super Bowl 40. No, after Super Bowl 40. And basically all these little lines that just kind of hurt. Like all their events are still canon, which means all those events happened within those 14 years. Some more recent than others.
Somehow.
Right.
And honestly, like with all those events that have happened, especially the X-Men events, I am on the side of the anti-mutant haters. If I was living in I would hate superheroes because if you think about all those events happening within 14 years, I would never want anyone with superpowers to be around me.
No.
Right?
I mean, you think about Civil War. Like, Civil War is the jumping off point. What was that? Nuke. Nuke went off because a teenage
He was taking drugs.
Yeah, well, he
Oh
went
yeah,
off
that
because he was
too.
taking drugs, and a superhero reality show team was trying to fucking close in on him or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
but so, like remember what's it called? Like Steve, literally, like evil Hydra Steve, literally gave a speech right before Secret Empire. Um, he was literally talking to a comatose Tony Stark. He gave this like dark villain speech that it was like, oh, the people can't stand you because you're literally destroying their lives and they don't know if the kid in their classroom is going to become the next Galactus or whatever and turn all of their kids to jelly.
right.
And like I think they thought they were writing Cap as being evil and giving an evil speech, but no, he was just saying facts. People were right to be scared, but
Well,
apparently they thought they were making him sound like a villain.
right. And that takes away the common sense element of understanding that the king of the Inhumans, Black Bolt, I mean,
Yeah,
it's very well. It's more often discussed now, but it's very rarely discussed that he has the ability to open his fucking mouth and destroy an entire galaxy.
actually, no, I think they removed that. They removed that power from him.
Well,
He doesn't have the.
that's too
Yeah,
bad because that's like one of his things is he can't speak because if he opens his mouth and get too excited, he'll just kill everything and everyone.
yeah, they removed that whole thing from him where now it's just he can control energy vaguely.
That's that's homosexual.
Such a specific power. So intriguing.
No, but like
He's
this is
Bishop.
literally.
I want to read all of it.
He's Inhuman Bishop. I don't care. I'm done.
Let me give you what Captain America literally said. They were afraid when one of the new children's classmates suddenly developed the ability to incinerate anyone around them with a look, but they got angry when you called them hysterical bigots for seeing that as a threat to their safety. They felt afraid when a neighbor they knew and trusted that revealed that above their country and communities, they now pledged allegiance to an alien race, a race with a history of brutal violence against humanity. But they got angry when you called them intolerant, not wanting to sleep next to that. And basically, he was basically calling all the superheroes elites for not understanding how the regular people felt living in that. But I think they wanted him to sound evil, but he just sounded right.
Well, I mean, and
Yeah.
this kind of wraps around to something I've been obsessing over for the last 2 weeks. You're on the internet, so obviously you've heard of Mr. Medicare.
Yeah.
I have been almost equally as infatuated with the Wuhan coronavirus as he is, and
Uh-huh.
and one of the things that you've seen coming out of the media in Canada is that it's racism that we should be worried about, not a fucking person who recently visited Wuhan coughing in our face. Like, it's racist to not want them to cough on you, bro.
I'm gonna goof.
But it's just an exact parallel to what we just mentioned because when the Inhuman cloud was going around, first off, you mentioned earlier it killed mutants whole cloth, like X-Men,
It literally
Marauders.
killed them.
Yeah, they were just dead. Like it murdered them. and they were like, "We don't like
Like-
this." No, that's racist. You have to like it. You have to like being killed.
Like, imagine if you didn't know you were immune. Imagine if your power was something just low level and boring, and you just suddenly started dying, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're being a bigot for being mad that you're literally dying from a disease from this cloud." Like, I didn't get it. I didn't get why the mutants were the bad ones for not wanting to die for a random cloud.
I'm
Right.
sure it's
And
been discussed
just
already,
wait.
and it's already happened.
We're gonna see a new
Go ahead.
we're gonna see a new porn category on Pornhub where it's Asian chicks coughing in guys' mouths.
I can't wait. I can't wait. But I'm sure it's been discussed and probably been done. But I really, really, really want a like a mini series, a 6 or a 12 issue series of just highlighting mutants that don't know they're mutants because they have these mundane ass powers. Like, I don't know, like when you put on a piece of clothing, it just fits you the way it's supposed to fit anybody. Or you know, when you when you wake up, your hair is just automatically perfect, or some shit like that. Like, just some stupid fucking power that doesn't mean anything. And I just
Your
really,
feet never stink.
yeah. Like, you don't even realize you have a mutant power, but
Or like the kid who could only explode once.
yeah.
As long as they make that one Arab.
Didn't I already fire you once? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but you forgot to change the locks on the door.
He keeps coming back. I stopped paying him months ago. I actually charge him to be here.
No, but what's it called? What's that guy? There was actually this thing with the whole Cap speech. Like, it literally showed how much that Marvel doesn't understand their readers. Like, if it thinks that this is what evil Steve is, or no, I'm sorry. Back to the Inhumans. The Inhumans, their whole thing. Like, if you get Inhuman powers, you pledge allegiance to the Inhuman race and the Inhuman. Like, that's your queen. That's who you belong to.
That's
Just
some Nazi
because of your
Germany
race.
shit, right? Like,
Yeah,
the Inhumans are now
you're no
Aryans.
longer an American. You're Inhuman above anything else, which is a really messed up thing if you think about it.
Come
Like,
live on the moon,
this
guys.
cloud gives you power.
Now, can I interrupt real quick? So on Pornhub, there's a 3-minute and 29-second video of a girl just coughing at the camera.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, now I know what my evening entertainment's going to be. Go ahead and link that in the DMs there. You son of a bitch.
I'll put in show suggestions.
I'm not pulling that up on air. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure YouTube filters out Pornhub.
She's fully clothed.
I'm pretty sure YouTube filters out Pornhub here.
Oh. It even has like the little intro and everything. It's actually kind of hilarious.
Put it in the Corona Chan chat. We'll be good.
Okay.
But no, I remember the Inhuman thing, and it was interesting to a degree because you had the mutant thing where the X gene was being discovered all over the place, and mutants were popping up left and right. But with the Inhumans, it's different. Like, they're I don't know. Also, I'm hearing a little bit of an echo. Do you have headphones?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, I am. I'm wearing headphones because my mic is not being odd right now. So,
Ayrton, do you have headphones in?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know where I'm hearing the echo from. God damn it. But
okay, let me check my voice settings just to make sure.
you're good. Ear Juice, how's it going? Let's see. What did Dark Knight call? Nationalist equal evil. Yep. Yikes! Don't want to get infected. You're canceled. Cartoon. Hey, thanks for showing up, brother. And definitely thanks everybody for stopping by. This is pretty much what we do 4 times a week. So if it's interesting, I may have to wrangle Poe to coming on more often if he brings this kind of a crowd with him.
I'll be glad to.
But yeah, I I don't know, man. Like it just the state of comics now. I used to have $145 a month pull list, right? Nowadays, I buy the reissues. The what is it? Marvel calls it the I don't know the Excelsior series or whatever. The $1 Marvel books, the $1 DC books where they reprint old issues. I buy the shit out of those because it's issues that I don't have. Usually, it's key issues. Um, I'm gonna be real with you, Chief. I came for Poe. Hey, I understand. Let's complain. But you know, if we can get him on more often, maybe you'll come back. But anyway, I buy those. I don't buy new stuff as often. I like the independent scene. Um, I just got done reading East of West by Image Comics, and that is a fantastic series. If you haven't checked it out, I strongly suggest it. Uh, think about like I know you said you were tired of dark multiverse like style things, but East
Yeah.
of West is what I like to call a post-apocalyptic world where the Four Horsemen are walking around and America split into 7 nations.
See, like I read like the last 2019, 2018. I read a lot of God's Not Dead, or is it God Is Dead? Which, like, I don't know if you've heard about it. Um, Basically, all the historical gods just start mythological that just start popping up and take over the world. It literally begins with Zeus showing up at the Vatican and saying, "Fuck you, I'm here."
That sounds like a Neil
And
Gaiman joint, but I haven't read it, so
Jesus is literally a happy-go-lucky stoner when he shows up like 12 books in. And like there's so much dark stuff like that one, and I read a bit of the cross stuff, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to read comics to feel bad anymore.
that's completely fair. And I've made this point a lot is that deconstructionism never should have become the norm.
It really should.
Frank
No,
Miller's
it's interesting occasionally, but that's about it.
Frank Miller's Dark Knight Return did a lot for the comic industry, but it also set a precedent that if you can break down a superhero piece to piece and then build it back up into a story, then it's interesting, and that's not always the case. Um,
I
Frank
mean,
Frank Miller
like
can do it, but not everybody else should.
like a lot of the deconstructions, especially have hit Superman hard because people are more willing to accept an evil Superman than an evil Batman because they've seen so many what if Superman were evil or alternate universe Superman but evil. It's just they're
Well,
like Superman could be evil at any moment at this point. They're like, yeah, Batman's right. Just go ahead, do whatever you want.
did you catch Injustice?
The games
No, the
or the
comics.
comics. Like I've read most of the first games comics. I haven't read any of the second.
I
But the
think
way
they
they killed Dick was ridiculous.
well, I think they went on for like 5 years or whatever, but
Yeah, they did.
and it's a well-known thought on this channel that myself personally, I think Mark Waid is a giant bitch, but I don't take anything away from his capabilities as a writer for the simple fact that he wrote a story called Irredeemable, which is
Oh my god, that is my shit. Irredeemable is my shit.
okay. Well,
I love that book.
when we review Irredeemable Volume 1, we'll make sure to have you back on. That'll we'll just set that date. Ayrton, put that and God is Dead on the list if you don't mind.
All right.
But
Incorruptible and Irredeemable were just they made my high school
yeah,
my time in high school.
and that was before Mark Waid was a giant baby and sued Richard C. Meyer. So you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually, one of my formidable comics was Kingdom Come, which was Mark Waid and Alex Ross. But
Oh, true.
in hindsight, you look at Earth X, which was Alex Ross and somebody else, and you realize this is Alex Ross's story with Mark Waid scripting it.
Mm-hmm.
But Irredeemable was the end all be all of what happens when Superman goes evil, and it worked because the story, for those of you that don't know, and again we put it on the list, so we're going to review it now. But the story itself was okay. This guy called the Plutonian, who's basically Superman, he took 10 minutes. He went somewhere where he couldn't hear everything going on in the world for 10 minutes. And in those 10 minutes, the world went to shit. Everything he knew and loved was destroyed. And everyone blamed him for not being there to stop it. And if that's not enough to drive you fucking crazy, how many of you have been at work and gone to the bathroom and something gone wrong while you were in the bathroom and it became your fault because you had to take a piss? Like, that's the equivalent of what happened. Only
Or you had
on,
Taco Bell for lunch.
only on a monumental level. But it's one of the best stories I've ever read. It's one of the things that I've made sure to collect and have a full run of, that, The Boys. But the key point of all this is that independent works in the last 10, 15 years have started to outshine anything Marvel and DC does, and that should never have happened. There should never be a story called Rat Queens that outsells Batman. But there is.
I've never read Rat Queens. I've heard about it, but
it's not terrible. It's pretty woke, but it's written to be woke, and it's a new property, so it's not. It. I have a very interesting take on these things. Like, I don't mind if there is a woke quote unquote piece written, as long as it doesn't completely and utterly defile the idea. Like, if you wrote woke Lobo like they're doing with Lobo's daughter,
oh,
yeah, I went there. But you write that, and it's disgusting because Lobo is the main man, right? Like, he is
Right.
he is the end all, be all of big dick energy in the DC universe. I mean, I'm not wrong, but you start to cuck
No,
him.
you're not.
You start to cuck him with his daughter, and then you have some problems from me. But you write something like Rat Queens, I'll give it a fair shake, and it's actually a decent story as long as you don't mind the, girl power.
occasional woman.
Well, as long as you don't mind
Like-
the girl power scene, right?
Like, there's a comic that I once tried because I wanted to give it a try. It's called Man Eaters, where girls who are menstruating randomly turn into cats and are basically being treated like mutants would be from Marvel.
Oh yeah.
And it is just, it's by Chelsea Kane, so
Now, somebody in the chat earlier brought up Max Asagio, and I have hated this woman. Or no, not Max Asagio. Heather Antos. Somebody brought up Heather Antos. They brought up Mags too, but I was mixing my my woke queens. But I've hated Heather Antos with the fiery passion of 1,000 hells for almost a decade now. For ruining, well, not even a decade, probably closer to 5 years, for ruining Valiant Comics. I got into Bloodshot.
Wait, what does she do with Valiant Comics again?
She
Because I remember I loved.
Go ahead.
I read all of Archer and Armstrong. Like, I was addicted to it all, like, last year. I just couldn't, like, it hurt with, like, just some parts of it hurt because, like, I really loved Obadiah Archer. He was like my man. He was just so innocent and naive, but he was so willing to just try and do his best. And I fucking hate Armstrong. I don't know if you.
I was more into the Bloodshot side of Valiant Comics when I got into it, and
They had a little bit of a mix.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, they had a little bit of a fight, and Archer just wrecked Bloodshot. I think.
Oh yeah, but I got into it back before the reboot, and I would go into my local shop, and if I had $10 or $15 on me, I'd pick up a Bloodshot trade, and that's what I would read on my lunch break. And I would read through it, and I would probably finish it that evening, and I got hooked on the stuff. And then Heather Antos took over, and the it became a diverse, woke awakening of Valiant, so to speak. All the supers were minority orphans or whatever, and Faith was the headlining hero, which was an overweight, obese, blonde
Oh,
girl.
Faith.
Yeah, Zephyr was her superhero name. She could hover. That was her power. She could hover.
I remember the Hillary Clinton comic where Faith was there. I was just,
Yeah,
and the fact that Faith and Archer and Obadiah Archer were together, which I hated because I wanted, I know she was his adopted sister, but I guess I preferred them together.
there's a question in the chat. I'm not really sure how to answer, but Less Complain says, speaking of which, any comic book about a current day cowboy hero?
Well, if you like something that is just terrible, I guess you could read Young Justice for Ginny Hex, Jonah Hex's descendant.
Yeah, no, just go back and read old school Jonah Hex. That's probably for the best. Or I would alternatively say anything with Booster Gold in it is very cowboy ish. Like I'm just a bad motherfucker and nobody can stop me.
Except for anything Booster Gold and Tom King together.
We don't talk about that. We talked enough about Tom King. We know we know Tom King is worse than Orange Man.
He just ruined. I just can't believe he did that to both Booster Gold and Batman. Just
Well, he ruins anything he
Well,
touches, and they just keep letting him
as
do
somebody
it.
in the chat said, his dad went out for cigarettes one night and never came home. So
The gay Centurion in the chat says she could hover over a buffet table. Am I right? But
literally that.
Red Hood.
Oh, guys, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to sign off soon. My mic is dying on my headphones,
Oh,
and every time I plug it in, it turns off.
You're good, man. We definitely appreciate you coming on. This very well may be the biggest episode we've ever had. So we appreciate
I'm
that.
glad we helped.
and
we're going to capitalize on that any chance we get.
Absolutely. But we're going to take a look at Irredeemable and God is Dead. And we're going to look at those. And if you would like to come on, or if you would like to come on and just air your grievances at any point in time, just let us know. Thanks again. And if you have anything you want to say before signing off.
Anything I want to say? Okay, never read anything by Tom King.
Words to live by, ladies and gentlemen.
You should get that tattooed on your ass.
We don't deserve Poe, but we have him, and we're grateful for it. Thank you again, buddy. Check Poe out on Twitter at Scribe Undead. His at is in the description down below. Is there anything else you want to plug or anything before we get in the closing here?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. Been a great discussion.
Thank you very much.
I didn't know that we could go off on comic books for 2 hours, but we have. So, but we appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on.
Again, thank you.
Hey, always. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think tomorrow we will be looking at DC 52 Week 6. And maybe we'll splice in that Bone review that we have just neglected for the past 2 episodes. But this is just we've had some really good guests over the last 2 days. What do you want from me?
But man, Bone was that's fun as shit.
Well, I think we should take a look at what Ethan Van Sciver had to say about Bone before we get too
Yeah,
carried away.
we'll play that again.
I mean that seems like the appropriate thing to do. So let's see what Ethan Van Sciver and Nick Rekieta had to say about Bone.
No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. Talbot Links says Jeff Smith got some Disney money early on for Bone. Dude has old stories he might share over beers. Saved him from James Kacholka and went drinking with him and Steve Bissett many moons ago.
Yeah,
Good
well,
times.
fuck that guy. Fuck Jeff Smith. Fuck him.
Not a big fan.
No, I'll tell you why. Fuck Jeff Smith. This guy pissed me off. I don't care about Bone. What, you fucking waxed pogo and you think you're a genius? Fuck you. I'm sitting there in 2002, sitting next to doing a convention in New York City. It's dead. It's like 7 p.m. at night. Nobody's at this convention. It's like Big Apple before Big Apple became Big Apple. And there's a guy lurking in a trench coat. And I go, that's Frank Miller over there. That's Frank Miller. You don't know who Frank Miller is, do you? Or
Frank
do you?
Miller, he did 300, right?
300, Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
Pausing it at 1:22:34, Ayrton. Go ahead and put 300 on the list, and that's what we'll have Novel Brew come on and review with us.
Not Mouse?
No, not Mouse. I don't think the algorithm can take that kind of shekel posting.
The one day I actually bring my iPad with me to work and can see the fucking Discord updates in real time.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
Anyways,
you did this to us. Anyway, let's get back to the rant here.
Yeah.
Frank Miller is Daredevil. Frank Miller's a god, Electro Assassin.
The only thing I am mad about for Frank Miller, and I don't know if it's his fault, was after I saw 300, I was like, there were two parts of this movie that I think were absolute trash. And then I went to Barnes & Noble and flipped through the 300 graphic novel and found out that those two parts weren't in there. And I was mad that Frank Miller didn't drive a javelin through everybody who made that decision's face, personally.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been probably overkill, to be an overreaction, but yes, I mean, in spirit. Frank Miller, was walking around, and I was just like, you're Frank Miller, and he was kind of like, oh, hey. And he was such a nice guy. He came and sat behind the table, okay, and it was just one-on-one time. Nobody was bothering him. I had Frank Miller all to myself, and I had just started drawing New X-Men with Grant Morrison from Marvel Comics. And I had my pages in front of me. And he's sitting there. I'm like, would you like to see my work, sir? And he's like, no problem with authority, Nick. I call people sir.
I'd be like, would you like to see my work, fascist?
And he was close to that then for a little while. It was kind of nice. He's paging through my work, and he's just like, yeah, I can see that you're having, like, the nicest thing that you can say to someone. I see that you're having fun with your work. I see what you're doing here. I like it. He's like, I'm working on a project right now. I'm the same way. I've given up trying really, to be who people want me to be. I'm trying to have fun with my new project. And the project that he was talking about, I found out later, was Dark Knight Strikes Back, the sequel to Dark Knight Returns. And so I have this insight. He was talking to me about Dark Knight Strikes Back and his approach to it, just like, I'm being young again. And all of a sudden, while I'm enjoying my time, I'm entranced with Frank Miller. I've had 5, 6, 7 minutes with him all to myself.
Yeah.
Down the alley comes fucking Richard Simmons.
All right, I've got to bring this up. We've got a quote. Ethan Van Sciver is calling Jeff Smith Richard Simmons. So should we show what Jeff Smith looks like on screen for the people?
we probably should.
Right,
for context purposes.
Yeah. That's Jeff Smith, ladies and gentlemen. Make your own choices on what you think about that. But yeah, that's Jeff Smith for context, everyone. Do you see it, Eric?
On screen. The stream's catching up.
I mean, I honestly think Richard Simmons probably looks a little better than that. Just saying.
He needs to use like some conditioner in his hair or something.
But yeah, that's Jeff Smith, ladies and gentlemen. So,
And how is it possible to have 5 o'clock shadow, but just in a pedo stash?
I don't know, but Jeff Smith pulled it off.
Like that's almost impressive.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to it. I'm at 124.46.
Fucking Jeff Smith, curly hair. He's just like, Frank, we gotta go. We got tickets for the show. Let's go.
That's definitely the voice I imagine
I'm like,
coming out of Jeff Smith.
Fuck you. And Frank goes, oh, I'm sorry. I gotta go. It's a pleasure talking to you, Ethan. And
That
I'll
sucks.
I will never forget that. And I will never forgive Jeff Smith. Fuck you. You took my Miller away from me. I wasn't done talking to him. And that's the kind of situation that only happens once in a lifetime. I mean, you're getting Frank Miller without a crowd around him, just one-on-one talking about art, talking about comics, and the creator of Bone, the guy who wasn't even smart enough, I'm sorry, to sell his creation to Disney when they offered him $1 million when it was something.
They offered the creator of Bone $1 million and he didn't take it?
I have plans.
It was Bone. I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, so, I never, maybe there are Bone fans out there. I don't know. I saw that comic because I was buying Image comics when Image was new. I think it was new. Anyway, Cyberforce and Wild Things and Spawn were all like in their, single digit issues when I was buying Image comics. And Bone was there and I was like, why would I buy this? Mm-hmm. I'm like, Wildcats has all these cool things, like guys with fingers made of knives, big giant guys that get bigger, hot chicks. Spawn is like, the devil brings back this guy to be his general in Hell's Army, but he's like, I'm gonna just conserve my power and try and bang my old wife or whatever. And
that is exactly
this weird
the plot
little thing called Bone. I'm like, I don't want to see.
It isn't a porno. If it's called Bone and it's not a porno, I don't want to read it.
Right? Yeah.
So fuck that guy, Nick.
All he needed to do was give you 3 more minutes with Frank Miller.
I would have ejaculated it by that point.
Yeah.
3 more minutes would have done it.
That's all you needed.
I'll never forgive him for that. I think about that all the time. I think about him mincing up the aisle and saying, we got to go. We got tickets. Tickets for what? What are you talking about?
The show, Ethan.
Yeah.
So this is great. There's a point.
All right. That's the end of the clip. That is the best 4 minutes of YouTube that I think I can muster ever. But now I do hate to end the show on a somber note, but there is some serious discussion, and we didn't have time to bring it up during the normal show. Let me see if I can find it here. Probably in general. Right here. Okay, so I'm gonna copy that.
What are we looking at?
I'm going to put it in show links for you, show suggestions or whatever.
Oh, okay.
All right, that's what we're pulling up. It's a memology video, like it always is, because Memo is a real MVP. And
right.
I'm going to pause that and restart it at 0, get it set up. Let me know when you're ready. It's 1 minute 21 seconds long, so we'll just play it through and then discuss it. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, hold on. There's an Arby's ad. Now I want a roast beef sandwich.
I said something about a roast beef sandwich on the ground earlier in the Discord, and it was probably derogatory, so take that for what you will. But 000 starting now. I had seen a lot of these comic books. I'm going to lower the volume so we can talk over this, but I have definitely seen a lot of these comic books. So what I'm going to do right now is pull up the GoFundMe link.
Yeah.
And we're going to put that in the chat.
Thank you. Really, thank you. Hi. Got a small favor to ask of you.
No, Bernie, fuck you. You get no favors. You know who gets favors? Dexter. Dexter gets favors. You match me, bro. But here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pull up the GoFundMe, and I'm gonna spam it in the chat once or twice just to let everybody get a hold of it. I don't promote GoFundMe's very often. Like I promote comic books and stuff where you actually get something out of it. And obviously this fundraiser, probably because of Memology and several other people, has exceeded this goal by $1,300. But let's be real. If you're a comic creator and you're working for the big two, you're not making cure cancer money. $25,000 is nice. That's around a chemo. But let's be frank here. $25,000 is enough to get buried without having burial funds when you have a cancer diagnosis.
Right.
So if you have it in your heart, I don't care if you're a Patreon of mine and you want to cancel your subscription and donate your month of Patreon to this GoFundMe. Let me know, and I will give you member status in the Discord, and we'll get you a wrench here on the channel. Help this guy out. Cancer's not a fucking joke, and as a comics channel, I feel like this is what it's about. On January 27th, 2020, legendary inker Dexter Vines went to the doctor for chronic lower back pain that refused to go away. He discovered two major surprises. He had a fractured vertebrae in his lower back, and they were the result, or two fractured vertebrae in his lower back, and they were the result of multiple myeloma, a cancer that attacks plasma in the blood. There's a description here from the Mayo Clinic. Multiple myeloma is a cancer form type of white. I'm not going to read all this, but it forms in the plasma cell, which is devastating. The good news is the diagnosis is very early in development and treatment has begun. Prognosis is very treatable and in some rare cases curable. Rare cases curable. The bad news, it's expensive. Minimal insurance in place and will not cover the full cost. What's more, Dexter will not be able to work at a pace to keep up with living expenses. So that's what I'm getting at. $25,000 is enough to bury the man. We don't want him buried. We want him inking comic books. So, like I said, if you have it, if you have it to give it. If you don't, share the link around. Let people know that this is not a scam or anything like this. This is an actual. Memology vets everything. I've seen and heard about this for a couple of days. I waited a couple of days to make sure it got vetted. I know that there's people in the chat that are sympathetic to Vic Mignogna. I know there's people in the chat that donated to the library fund. I did myself. I have donated to this fund. It wasn't very much because 3 kids, family of 5, 1 income. But if you can donate, if you can't, or if you do donate, even so, share the link around. Let everybody know this is a worthy cause, and it couldn't go to a better dude. The guy is always in top spirits. There's a couple of updates here. February 6th, Dexter was released yesterday and is resting comfortably in a proper bed. He's exhausted and understandably wobbly, having a fractured back and undergoing chemo, but he's a machine. His vibrance and good humor keep shining through even through this hardship. He'll be updating everyone again soon himself. For now, know that the positive vibes and support are having an incredible effect on this guy we all know and love. So yeah, that's I did want to show that in place of our normal alternative show this evening. I'm sorry that we're ending on a downer, but it's a good cause, and I didn't want to go another day without without promoting that. I didn't get a chance to last night, so like I said, yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
and you know what I will do is hopefully when my tax money comes back and everything comes through, either then or when the next month Patreon comes out, I think we're going to as long as the campaign's still up, we're going to donate the full amount of this month's Gospel of Comics Patreon to the GoFundMe from all of you guys. So thank you for that, and like I said, share it around. Thanks everybody for a great show. Thanks everybody for turning out to check out Poe. Hopefully we'll have that guy back on. It was a great show tonight. I really enjoyed having somebody who had some real takes and some real opinions on the show. It's always nice to have somebody on who doesn't do this for a living, but they enjoy the medium as much as we do. And that guy really knows his shit, even though he's a younger guy. I can't wait to have him back on. Although I will say next week, everybody can strap in and get ready. We're going to have Crippled Jesus returning guest Saturday
Hell yeah.
with.
That's always a party.
Oh wait, I'm not done.
Oh.
Billy May style.
Oh, jeez.
But wait, there's more. We're gonna have Crippled Jesus and Riley on the show together.
All right.
Topic to be determined. You guys have any suggestions? Let us know. I think we're gonna make that a call-in show. So get your invoices ready, boy. Get your invoices ready.
Get your alcohol.
But
whatever you need to do.
But that's going to be Saturday. Sunday, I'm not sure yet. We'll look at that. Maybe we'll be able to get back on track with our 52 reviews. I think we're going to do week 6 tomorrow, and then probably follow it up with Bone unless we have a new guest. Cocaine topic. All right, we'll put that on there. I also want to bring up the alleged $40 in mint salad topic. Maybe
what should I put on the list? Just comics about cocaine?
Well, I mean, comics written
cocaine
on
in
cocaine.
comic books.
Well, I mean, that's most of the '70s, Ayrton. But anything with the Disney label.
In comics.
Anything with the Disney label printed before 1980. That's definitely a cocaine comic book. Adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters probably had some blow involved. Not gonna lie. As I sniff.
Yeah, from what Don told us about Parsonovid.
But seriously, no, I do want to bring up the $40 mint question because the lore goes that somehow Riley was able to convince Mint Salad to pay him $40 to fuck him. And if that's the case, I think our audience needs that kind of senpai knowledge. And
oh, that's fantastic.
And definitely, chat, understand that I will be invoicing you for watching the show. It's going to cost $50 a piece. I'll invoice via mail. I'll invoice you multiple times. It's fine. After the 4th invoice, I'm going to start adding tax. It's cool. But
when did the kneecaps get the baseball bat treatment?
That's after the 6th invoice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I figured they have the right to know.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, but obviously I'm joking. That's a joke. These are jokes, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody gets the kneecap.
Don't ban us yet, Susan.
Don't do it.
We haven't done our mouse review yet.
But we got to get Novel Bro to look at mouse. We'll do that on D Live. Also, another announcement: Wednesdays going forward, Wednesdays will be on dlive.tv/Church of Failure. I think that's the correct link. Let me make sure.
Shit.
Yeah, dlive.tv/church_of_failure. The link is in the description down below. We're going to bring back Radio Wednesdays on D Live and see where that takes us.
Ooh.
So we'll be doing doing a little bit of a different format. We'll probably just play through and interject randomly. And there is another project in the pipeline. I'm going to take some time off and try and get it situated, but it's going to take a little bit of time investment. Me and Ayrton are going to have to come up with a script. It's going to be great. I'll talk to you about after the show about that. But anyway, we have gone way over budget. Thanks to Poe's Law for coming on. Been a great show. Probably one of our bigger shows yet. This is rivaling the Ethan Van Sciver show. So
it really is.
So I'm happy with that. Thanks everybody. Be sure to check us out. If you like what you saw here, subscribe. Share it around with your friends. If you know anybody that likes comic books or likes people shit talking comic books, by all means. We're up to 282 subscribers. Less than 18 subscribers, or 18 subscribers to go. Less than 20. And we'll do the full breakdown of the Meyer versus Wade lawsuit on an extended stream. I'll get some clips together from Nick Rekieta. I may even reach out to somebody who's been following that a lot longer than I have, and have them on. But we will do a full Meyer v. Wade stream and talk about that lawsuit and the way it's affected the comic community. The success that your boy Zach has had with Jawbreakers and continues to do so with the Expendables. And, yeah. So, let me just...
It's going to be a fun time.
Do a quick refresh there, yep. So, anyway, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I will leave you with... Well, with just that.
What are we leaving them with?
Nothing. But I will leave you with a final word. Don't buy any Tom King comic books. Always buy Jonathan Hickman comic books.
True facts right there. So, good night, everybody.
That's what I was waiting on. Now I can end the stream.